Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, about 10 days ago I posted a video about a severe storm that kind of blew through Waco, and I was at work at the time, and the severe weather alarm went off, and we actually ended up all going out into the hall and kind of hunkering down against a couple of load-bearing walls in there because there was a concern a tornado was going to come through. Now it turned out to be nothing, and it was just kind of a violent thunderstorm, but when I got home, there was a lot of water that accumulated on the pool cover, and I figured, okay, well, we're gonna have to get that off the pool cover by this weekend. Well, when I looked out at the pool cover yesterday, the pool was, the cover itself had basically been destroyed by the weight of the water on it. Let me show you what we're looking at. Now, as you recall, last fall I built up that little PVC structure in the middle of the pool in hopes that it would keep the water running off the cover and not pooling in there. It didn't work as well as I'd hoped it would, and in fact the weight of the water actually tore the pool cover. So we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board this next year and figure out how we're gonna deal with this. But for now, what I need to do is pump this water out of here, and we're gonna remove the cover today, and we're gonna start getting the pool ready. One of the things I was waiting for was that I was waiting for my annual bonus at work, and that came in this week. So one of the things I want to do this weekend is get the sand replaced in the pool, and let's see if we can start getting this thing back into control, because I lost control of it last fall and the water's a mess in there. I'm hoping I don't have to replace all of the water, but I might end up having to do that. But it's going to start by getting the sand replaced in the filter, and that's going to start by getting the cover off and getting this water out of here. So I'm going to use that tool I've created in the past to do that and siphon the water out of here, and that's going to be our first step. And then we're going to get rid of this pool cover. We're going to get that PVC thing out of the middle, and we're going to start seeing if we can do something to save this water. So you remember I built this little siphoning tool here, and this is still being used, and this will get the water out of that section pretty quickly. But I first realized there was a problem when I was looking out here just a few weeks ago, that the tension on the top there was actually tearing the top of the patio, the top of the pool cover. And so I knew I had a problem, and this wasn't going to work very well, and I was going to have to rethink this again this year. But like I said, this all happened in the last few days as a result of all that water weight being on there. It just literally shredded this thing. So like I said, I'm kind of thinking right now, maybe next year, instead of putting a tarp on there, what I might do is like a canvas cover, something that will catch the leaves but allow the water to soak through, because it's not really a problem with the water ending up in the pool. I just don't want the leaves. But these pool covers just aren't strong enough to do what I need to, and the cord that I use to stretch from the PVC thing in the middle all the way out to the edge, that stretched too much. So the weight of the water caused it to stretch, and well, you saw what happened. So like I said, we're gonna keep thinking about this, and I'm thinking about a canvas cover next year, and I think that might be a better option. Oh, by the way, look who's out and about. You like it when it starts getting warm out, don't you? If anyone remembers those funny little seed pods that I found on one of my hikes last winter or last fall or whatever, that I planted in here, looks like one of them's starting to bloom a little bit or bud out. So I don't know, we're gonna see what we get out of that. Alright, we got the cover off, we got the PVC thing out of the middle, and as you can see, the pool is a real mess in here. So fortunately I got like 3 or 4 months to get this thing in order, and I think it's gonna have to start with getting in here, vacuuming out all the leaf waste, which is gonna probably be a multi-day ordeal, and then we'll have to raise the water level. What I was trying to do is figure out if I could use this little drain in the bottom here to drain out the water out of the pump housing, and in the process of doing it I wasn't able to get it back in there, so as a result all the water level in here dropped about a foot, so I got to put another foot of water in here. But before I do that, I'm going to have to spend some time and get the filter housing ready to go, but that won't prevent me from cleaning in here. So that's going to be the first thing, is we're going to throw the vacuum in here, and this is going to, like I said, be a multi-day ordeal to get this all cleaned up and ready to go. But like I said, I got 3 months to do it, so let's get going. Now, as disgusting as this looks right now, the water isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. We're going to, like I said, the pool sweeping function here is going to be a multi-day phase thing. But we got the sweep going around in here now. We're going to start sweeping out all the gunk on the bottom. Hopefully we're kind of past the worst of the fall weather, so hopefully that should help make it a lot better. And once we get the filter running, the filter should clarify the water. I'm also going to shock it and put some chlorine in there, because it's been sitting unchlorinated for about 4 months now, so it definitely needs that. So we're going to shock it, and that should help a little bit. And like I said, this is going to be a slow process, but I think we're going to be able to salvage this water, and that's the important thing. Now I'm having to improvise a little bit, because one of the keys to distributing the chemicals in the pool is keeping the water moving. Otherwise, all the chemicals I just put in the pool are all just going to kind of accumulate in one area of the pool and not really going to do their job. Now, last year I bought just a little waterfall pump that I kept in here, because I like to have the water kind of move around in here. It kind of makes all the debris in here kind of move towards the center, which makes it easier to get with the vacuum. So I've just kind of clipped it to the underside inside the water here, and I have it running, and hopefully over time this will kind of get everything spinning in here. Normally the pump and the filtration system would do that, because the water is pulled out here and comes back in here, and I have the jet kind of pointed that way a little bit. But since the pump isn't working right now because it's all below water level, I have to improvise. But this seems to be working pretty well. I'm getting a lot of water movement in here, and this in combination with the vacuum should hopefully help me a little bit. So the next thing I think I want to do, since we're going to go over and pick up some new filtration sand tomorrow, is I want to disconnect the filter housing here, bring it into the garage, and let's get that all cleaned out. Get all that out of there, get it rinsed out, and then we'll be ready just to pour new sand in there when the time comes. So a couple hours have passed now. I got the filter housing out, we got all the sand removed, and I gotta admit, it was kind of interesting seeing the inside of this thing for the first time. I've never actually seen it, and there's all sorts of weird plumbing that goes on in here. Most of it is in this piece here, but kind of seeing the inside of it, and running water through the top here, and kind of seeing how water gets routed around in the different modes was actually kind of useful, because now I have a better understanding of this. Now, you may recall last year or so I went over to the company who installed this pool initially, and turns out they had detailed records of when it was bought, when it was maintained, and all that fun stuff. So they were able to print out an invoice of everything that's ever happened to this, so I can go back and can get exactly what I need for the new sand, and pop that in here, and that should get this going again. I've taken a look at the pump. I've got it right now inside the shed. The pump itself seems like it's in pretty good shape, so I'm probably not going to have to replace that, but there has been a little bit of a setback that I'm going to have to deal with. You may recall last year I had a problem with the wiring on this and did this little patch job. Well, that patch job was always kind of intended that it would be kind of temporary. Well, apparently it didn't survive the winter. This thing ran for a few minutes inside the pool, and then it stopped. So I think what I've got is water in here, and so I think I'm going to just break down at this point and buy a new pool vac. That's going to set me back a bit, because that's a little bit pricey. but I still think it's within my budget in terms of doing that, and hopefully this should last, you know, get a new one. This pool was installed in 2015, so if this pool pump, or if this vacuum lasted for 8 years, you know what, that was a good investment. So I think we're going to probably end up going and getting a new one of those. That's going to probably be $1,200 to $1,500. But the fact that I don't have to buy a new pump is good news, and the fact that the filter housing can be repaired for, or resanded for probably about 75 bucks, that still puts this within my price range. So I think at this point, like I said, we chemically treated the pool, and I got the water moving a little bit, so that should keep everything nice and circulated. And I think when I go by tomorrow and buy a new pool sweep in here, we can get that into here and get this cleaned up. And once we get the filter running again, and maybe we'll bring a water sample over to the pool company and they can tell me what they recommend. And at that point, hopefully we ought to be able to get this thing going again pretty easily. Like I said, it looks bad now, but I think a little water clarification, you know, some chemistry in here, and some serious time with the pool filter should get this thing ready to go. I'm also going to have to bring the water up about 12 inches because that's how far down it is. But I think we've made good progress today. So I'm going to end this video. We'll pick it up again tomorrow and show you the next phase of this. And until then, I think that's all I have for today. So thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.